Hello.
Hello, how are you? Good morning. Well, good morning for me. Good afternoon for you.
So you're in USA, Minnesota?
I am in USA, yes.
Wonderful. So we have two speakers. I'm just waiting for the first one. She's from Nigeria. I hope she's going to join in. We'll just wait a bit for her, though it's one.
I was like, why can't I see myself? I didn't put the video on.
Oh, yes.
I'm sitting here like going like, why can't I see myself?
It happened to me. I said, why can't I hear myself? And
right.
audio, yeah. Was
like,
It's all right. In the interest of time, I think we'll do yours first. Okay. And if she comes in, she can be the second speaker. Is that fine with you? Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So friends, I'm Dr. Suchitra at the Women Economic Forum, and I'm the moderator for this session at West Bangalore 2020. A very warm welcome to our attendee guests and our speakers. The topic for this session is Building the Resilient You, very much needed in these times. So we have 12 minutes for each speaker. At the end of the 11th minute, I will give a reminder bell. And after 12th minute, I'll ring the closing bell really long to time out. So now I'm going to call upon our wonderful speaker from US. She is Izora Gonzalez, a clinical psychologist and an educator from USA. Building the Resilient You, Izora Gonzalez.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here. I picked this topic to speak on because my personal journey for the last probably 2 years has had to draw upon resiliency. Not only did my life begin to shift about 2 years ago, personally, where my relationship of 25 years began to shift. My children and I became displaced because of that shift. So handling 4 children, no longer being in our home, being away from our routine, from our structure, from life as we knew it, which is very similar to what's happening now. And I think this is why it becomes so important to understand how to navigate difficulty. But shortly thereafter, I was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. And so not only was it one shift, but a second shift, but a third shift. And so you had to really begin to think, how do you survive? And not only how do you survive, but how do you begin to thrive in such an environment? And you begin to look at the psychological underpinning of what's necessary in order to become resilient and to use the skills necessary in order to become resilient. So one of the things that you have to begin to look at is, how is your mindset looking at the situation? So that's the first thing, because we can either look at the situation from a negative perspective or from one of positivity. And one of the things that in my personal journey that was often told to me is, I'm so sorry. Yeah, and I'm like, don't be. It took a minute for me to come up with my response to people, because if you are not anchored in your response and in your view of life, you can be easily absorbed by the negativity of the situation. And so that becomes super important. If we can begin to shift that mindset, no matter what's happening, and look at it from a perspective of positivity, then things become a little different. So when people would say to me, I'm so sorry, I would smile, I would laugh, and I would say, there's no reason to be. Everything has blessings. And then people would go, because how do you respond to someone who has all of these negative, awful situations going on back to back to back, but they're telling you, don't apologize. There's always blessings. And so that directs and drives the conversation in a very different direction. And so when you can begin to shift your mindset into one from negativity to positivity, it actually allows you to grow and to believe what you're saying. And I do believe that there have been so many positives in my circumstance that those really outweigh the negative. So that's the first avenue that I'd like to discuss, right? That's the first thing, is that what we're thinking is actually what we're doing. So if we continue to look at the negative, and it's funny because Dr. Shuthira, it was one thing after another. So it was not only do you have cancer, but then after they had the surgery, it's like, well, you have 2 different types of cancer. And I laugh because like, it couldn't get worse. I mean, I'm sure it could have, but from my perspective, I was like, oh my gosh, you know, it's not only this, but now it's this. And now it's not only this, but now it's this. And at the same time, as I'm dealing with my health crisis, I was dealing with a very personal crisis, which is my relationship of 25 years no longer was what it had been. My life, my family also then no longer was what it had been. And so not only did I have to begin to apply what I knew resiliency needed to be, but I was living it. And it's very different to lecture and to speak from theory as opposed to needing to apply theory into action and execution. So the second piece was anchoring. So for me, anchoring came in from different avenues. My first anchoring is I'm religious. I'm Catholic by upbringing, but I believe to be very Christian. So I believe in God. I believe in the power of God. I believe in the spirituality. I believe in that. And that was my anchor. So every day I was anchored to that. So that was one of my anchors for me, is continually going back to my faith and going back to, okay, how am I getting through this moment? Because sometimes it wasn't even how am I getting through today, which is the other aspect of resiliency. Sometimes we, as humans, we want to look at how do we get through this? And we want to just know the end, which honestly is what's happening in our world right now. People don't look at how can I get through this moment? How can I get through this next hour? How can I get through the next 24 hours? We're always looking at how do I get through this? And if we only look at that, we're missing the opportunity to really learn from each moment that we're going through. And so here we have it where we need to be able to anchor ourselves. So I anchored myself in faith. I also anchored myself in my psychology, in knowing what needed to happen in order for me to succeed and thrive, not only for myself, but here I was, the leader of my family, of my 4 children, who looked up to me. So how do you anchor? So you anchor in what your values are. You anchor in your morals. You anchor in your belief system. So for me, it was my faith. It was what I believed, what I knew to be true. And then also leading by example. And so the day that my hair fell out, and now it's grown, the pandemic, everyone's complaining about a haircut. And actually, I'm like, oh, it's growing in nicely. And yes, could it use a little trim or something? It doesn't matter. So that's the other thing of resilience is perspective. So just to give you the example, going back to anchoring and how you can use it, when my hair fell out, my children watched in no other than what I can explain, in horror. And I had told them before my hair fell out, I didn't realize it was starting to fall out in chunks. I said, oh, I'm going to take you out to eat. And now here they are watching my hair as I do this. It was just coming out in chunks. And I called my brother, and my brother said, I'll be right over. And he came over with a clipper and he said, I'm just going to clip it for you. And I was like, what you got to do? And as he's clipping and he's pulling everything out, right? And we're pulling things out because you didn't even need to clip. My kids just watched. And then as he's buzzing and he takes the final buzz, and now I'm like completely bald. My kids are like, what are we going to do? And I said, well, we were going to go eat. And they're like, you're going to go out bald? And I smiled and I said, yeah, I'm hungry. And they're like, okay. And I was like, let's go. And they're like, we can go through the drive-through, mommy. I said, well, if you want to go through the drive-through, I said, but I'm perfectly okay sitting down to eat wherever you want. And they're like, are you sure, mommy? I'm like, I'm absolutely sure. Because there was a lesson there that they needed to understand, that no matter what you face it with dignity, you face it with resiliency, you face it with good humor, with love. And so those were my values and my morals. And so I knew at that moment I needed to embody that. So part of resiliency is embodying what your values and your morals are. That becomes really important. Being able to exude what those values are also becomes important when we deal with resiliency. So how do we handle our ever growing shifts. Because for me, that becomes then the next issue. So how do you handle, that's great. That's wonderful, Dr. Gonzalez, great story. But how do I deal with everything that's coming at me? How do I deal with every shift that's coming at me? And so you can't deal with it as a whole. You have to deal with it from moment to moment. You can't get past the day if you can't get past the moment. And so one of the things that I like to teach is take a step back in that moment and ask, what am I supposed to learn? Because I believe that every obstacle, and I don't call it obstacle because I look at things from a positive perspective, I call them opportunities. Every opportunity gives us a lesson. And so either we're going to allow ourselves to be open to the lesson or not. I think people struggle the most when you don't allow yourself the opportunity to learn from what's happening. I've always called what's happened to me. So I was already doing remote work before this happened, before the pandemic hit. So I see that even now. And sometimes I say, well, I don't know why this is happening, but it's happening for a reason. So my office was 100% set for remote work because they were dealing with me having to remote work. So when I had to say all of my clinicians now remote work, we already had the system in place because we had it in place for me. I would have never thought a year ago that having my staff struggle with me was like a dry run for what was happening now so that we can, open that up to the rest of the clinicians. So again, being able to take it moment by moment and what are we learning from this becomes super crucial, because if we can't learn, then that's the worst part. Because that's how we become resilient. Because if we look at learning theory, so going back to theory, right? We look at learning theory, we do what we've been rewarded to do, what feels good to us. And if we know that a negative situation brings us negative consequences, and that's what we've learned, we shy away from it. But if we can begin to look at what's the positive, what are we learning from this? What can I take from this that I can use as a seed to grow something great from it? Then we're able to look at things from a very different perspective. And it goes back to our mindset. So if our mindset, that's why I started with mindset. If our mindset isn't ready and willing and open to all of the possibilities, and I know that there's a lot of individuals in personal development and gurus and people in meditation. And a lot of people say, you have to be grounded. You have to be this. But sometimes it's not easy when you've got a lot of problems. How do you actually do that? How do you actually keep yourself from falling apart? So for me, it's not resiliency, I think, is the positivity. The negative aspect is falling apart. I think people aren't looking or aren't asking, how do I become resilient? People are asking, how do I not fall apart? How do I keep working? How do I keep moving? How do I keep my family intact? And, a lot of the comments I would get from people is like, any one of the things that was happening to me was enough for one person. So here I was displaced from my home with 4 children. That's pretty bad. Then on top of being displaced with 4 children, I'm now thrusted in a divorce. It didn't start that way. It started with being displaced first. So that led to now I'm shifting my relationship
Mhm.
to something I didn't expect. So I'm still displaced. Now I'm in the process of shifting into this divorce. And then I get, well, you're not medically well. Any one of those three is enough for one person. And so how do you get through it? Because that's what we all want to know. How do we get through this with dignity? How do we get through this surviving? How do we get through this financially? How do we get through this? We want to know, how do we get through this? And so we need to anchor, we need to change our mindset. Our mindset becomes really important. If your mindset is not clear, if you do not have clarity, you do not have clarity that everything will be okay. So manifesting is also really important for those individuals that are listening and believe in the power of manifesting. Manifesting becomes really important. So every time I would go to the doctor, and of course, I'm realist. I have 4 children. I have a disease that's growing in my body that shouldn't be there. I have power of what's happening in my life. And so I would say to the doctors, that's okay because I'm healed. And they were like, they'd look at me really funny, but I had to speak the words that I believed. Because if we speak, I'm going to be ruined. This is awful. I don't see a way out. Cancer is very strong. Cancer is very powerful. And I had one doctor say to me, well, you know, cancer is very powerful. And I smiled and I said, yes, it is. I said, but you know what else is powerful? My God. I said, you can't see cancer and you can't see my God either. So if your cancer that I can't see is powerful, I said, so is my God. And then she looked at me and she's like, oh, okay, good. I'm glad you see it that way. She didn't know what to respond to me. Because most people, if we're giving something negative, we take it, we lap it up, we eat it, we absorb it, we become it. And then we lose sight of our clarity. So making sure that we're still clear on stuff becomes super, super important. Those are the things that I think become really important. So for those individuals that are listening, if you want to really thrive, not just be resilient, if you're asking the question, how can I get through this? Well, first of all, you can by asking the question you've already started. And you need to be able to shift your mindset, to anchor yourself, to take the lessons, to look at things not as obstacles, but rather opportunities, and to be able to rely on the power of your network as well. Thank you.
It's from your heart. It's also authentic, and really wish you the best of health. And I want to tell you, you're a very courageous woman.
Thank you.
Izora Gonzalez, West Bangalore 2020 is happy to confer on you the Iconic Person of the Year award.
Oh, thank you.
Harbin, yes, and it will reach you in the mail very soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Today.
Thank you.
You had the luxury of more time, and I wanted to use it because I wanted to learn from you. God bless you. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
We can leave the room now.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure meeting you.
Lovely meeting
Bye.
you. Okay. Yes. Hi, Anita. You're muted.
Hello, Suchitra.
Hi. We'll wait. We'll chit chat till 1:30.
Sure.
Yeah.
So how is the laughter? I want to hear a bit of your laughter.
Oh my gosh, that was, see, I have the laughing Buddha here for you. And
Ah,
he's going to bless. So it was wonderful. I
right.
have the constraint of not having a live audience, and normally I do it in the auditoriums where there is everybody is there, and then one starts and the ripples here are heard
Right.
everywhere, and you know how it works. But here we had that restriction, but still I think I got the message across, and I'm very, very happy that happened. But this part is about you, my dear.
Mhm.
And
We're gonna have a nice session today.
really, I have
Uh,
in my home too.
I can see lovely plants behind you, which all are very, feng shui to have
Yes, I thought
beautiful,
so.
healthy plants,
Thought so. I said it's so.
flowering fruits, all that. Do you
True.
have an orange tree in your garden? Because you have such a lovely garden.
Yes, I do. I have.
Ah,
What tree did you say?
orange.
Orange tree. Yes, I do.
Ah, that's also part of what they
Yeah,
say.
the mandarin.
Yes, I know. That's why I'm all in red today.
It's beautiful. Oh wow! Just stand up and show, na. It's so pretty.
Yeah.
So pretty with the right. So and I have smileys. See?
Oh, right. That's so you.
Yeah.
Effervescent.
I just
That.
want to play with whatever was available.
I want to save your laughter as my, phone thing. Tone.
We'll do that. We'll do a combined laughter and save it as that. Miss Fing and Miss Shui. Miss Feng.
Right. Feng and Shui. Correct.
Okay. So we still have 5 minutes.
2 minutes. Right, right.
Yeah, 2
So are
minutes.
we going all half an hour or doing 15 minutes? What are we doing?
It's up to you. I'll let you be.
Yeah, yeah.
How long it goes, I won't need to ring the bell because it's all your time.
Yeah, I can see.
And we'll exit the room once your talk is done.
So I had an Ayurveda session in the morning with one of the Ayurveda gurus.
Okay.
Yeah, so there was half an hour, but then 5 minutes, 10 minutes before they said.
You would say the maximum 20 minutes, 20 minutes to this.
I think he got a good bargain. He talked a lot. And I.
Good. So you let me know when you're ready. Just put the finger up and we'll go.
Yeah. I think we've got a minute left. So those who want to come in.
You know, you have one exit written on your head.
Oh, maybe I should turn it a little then.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah. Perfect. Now that's perfect.
Okay.
That's
I think that's better.
yes. And then I also see the gold sun.
Yeah.
That's so lovely. And the jewelry is absolutely matching. It's beautiful.
Yeah, but I can't do 3 outfits like some of our friends did. Wow, that was a lot of positive energy. Wow.
Yeah, I was also I was back to back and trying to do little things.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so here I think we can start. Right?
Okay. So friends, I'm Dr. Suchitra at the Women Economic Forum. I'm the moderator for this session at WEF Bangalore 2020. A very warm welcome to our dear speaker, Anita Sethi Ramakrishna.
Thank you.
In the Chinese zodiac, 2020 is the year of the rat. That's exactly the way it's making us behave, right? We're all in hiding and we come out only to get food, and then we store the food and we run away when people come close to us. That's why this virtual conference. But whatever the problems are, Feng Shui can be the answer. Our esteemed speaker today is a Feng Shui practitioner and a hospitality professional turned entrepreneur. Here is Anita Sethi Ramakrishna speaking on Feng Shui to balance your life.
Wonderful. I couldn't have asked for a better moderator with me on the session. So thank you so much, Suchitra, for the lovely introduction. And so let's talk about Feng Shui. Yes, this seems like such an unusual, crazy year. But when I was looking at things, of course, this number repeats again and again. It's 2020, so that's 4. So yeah, supposedly 4 is not the best of numbers. So therefore, but of course, there's, I think, some flying stars which have come in, which is why the whole world seems to be facing this kind of an issue, because otherwise it's one region is having a great time and another area of the world is, not having a good time. But this time it's been, everybody has been, affected at the same time and in an equal measure. So yeah. So basically feng shui means wind and water, and it looks at the balance of the energies around where you live, and it's the spatial arrangement of objects and natural occurrences like hills or mountains or rivers and so on. So feng shui is a very old art and science. It goes back 2000 years plus, and it was being used initially by the kings, the emperors, for their dynasties, to protect their countries, their dynasties, and from evil or from other warring clans, and to hold on to their position basically. And today it is used by one and all, by you and me, by small businesses, big businesses, and people are all across the world. It's not just restricted to any certain area. It's used all across, and you can use it in your home, in your office, in your restaurant, in your store, and factory, so on and so forth. And it's basically based on the elements theory. So there is fire, water, metal, earth, and these are the various 5 elements, wood. So that's why you have a lovely plant right behind you, which is the wood energy. So yeah. So yeah, feng shui is based on energy and energy balance of the space, person, and time. So time value also comes in. So a lot of people think feng shui is, frogs and this and that and the other, but it's not really just that. That's the symbolic part, which you need. If you like it, then that's fine to follow it. Like I see there's a lovely Buddha standing right by your side with his, hands up. And he's got a nice big belly. So Buddha actually represents happiness. He's a happiness Buddha, and we can see all the laughter that he brings with you and to you. So this Buddha with his hands up is supposed to be the Buddha of ecstasy, that he is so carefree in the world that he's just has no load to carry, basically. So that is how it is. But yes, so this, a lot of people feel that, if you want to apply feng shui, then you have to have these various symbolic things in your house. It's not necessary. It's more the energy balance. You could use a plant somewhere to enhance the positive energy. Sometimes you could use a water body somewhere, or you could have some landscaping done, or changing the alignment, say, of your living room, bedroom, or kitchen, or whatever may be it. That could also help. Sometimes some areas of your house could have positive energy, and some may not have positive. Some may be a negative energy. So based on feng shui, you enhance the positives and you suppress the negatives, just like we women do. If we have beautiful eyes, then we put lots of kajal and make ourselves look good, or somebody has lovely hair. So similarly, no house is 100% bad, and no home or office or space is 100% good. So it's just on how you balance it. So it's balancing the energies and bringing the best to the person living there or working from there. So, right. So in the olden days, the civilizations were aligned along the river valleys, and that's because of the water energy there. So similarly, today we do, we may not be near the rivers, but what has you had, say, the Indus Valley civilization, the one in the Nile Valley, or the Tigris and Euphrates, and so on. So most of the civilizations came up like that, and the ideal location would be with the hills behind you and water in front of you, so that the energies settle around. But today we don't have that, say in Bangalore or Delhi or whatever. We have buildings around, so those are your mountains, and the roads are your new rivers. That's how the energy flow is looked at in the current day. And so it's mainly the spatial placement, which is key to feng shui, and the configuration, as I mentioned, of mountain behind, rivers in front. I'll just tell you some more about that. Right. Then there's the other aspect of how we balance the place and the person. Now, a certain place, suppose there's a particular apartment, number, whatever, and say person X is living in it. Now person X leaves and person Y comes into that same place. So the alignment would change a little based on the date of birth of the new person coming in. So that's how feng shui helps you maximize the space to your own energy. So it's not just the energy of the space, which of course is very important, but also your own energy based on your date of birth. So the story goes that Buddha had, invited the animals to come and have a chat with him, and so the 12 animals appeared to him. So in the sequence, let me tell you: the rat, which is of course this year, rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, goat, monkey, rooster, dog, and pig. So each of us, when we look at our date of birth under the Chinese zodiac, we are one of those animals. So those animals are the 12 zodiac years of feng shui.
It's okay. I think no, you're fine.
I think we've got yeah. So those are the years of feng shui, and based on your year of birth, so we know, and then we balance it with the space. So for a certain person, a particular main door would be better. So when you're choosing an apartment or an office or whatever it may be, you choose based on your strong points and what are your lucky directions. So each of us has 4 lucky and 4 not so lucky directions. So that's how we do the balance of the two, right? And it doesn't mean that just because you've got your place feng shuied that everything is going to be great in life. Neither does it mean it's going to be terrible in life either way if you don't get it done, because your life is based on 3 types of luck. So one is the luck you're born with, which is why somebody is born a prince and someone else a pauper. Though of course with flying stars and other luck, the pauper can become the prince and the prince can also become the pauper. So we know that from how life comes around. Yet there's also the 33%, which is based on your actions. Now, if somebody has taken the time to study and get degrees and put in a lot of hard work in his career, obviously that's going to show in the results of his actions or his karma, and also your behavior and, from the spiritual angle. And furthermore, our last 33% is based on the place or the energy of the place, which is why sometimes you feel, say we've come to this house or since we've moved or taken over a new space that, things are not going too well or whatever. So that is the last 33%, which is where the feng shui practitioner comes in to try and balance that for you. So that is the other aspect. Now, selecting a space, we women are very intuitive. So when you go to select a place, you must see that how do you feel when you enter that space? Do you feel positive? Do you feel good? Do you feel right about it? Is there good light? Is there good air? How does it smell? You don't want to be, near some nala. You don't want to be, near a dead end. You want to see that the energy is positive and flowing. There are birds, there are plants, there are squirrels. So that obviously means that, there's good life around there, and it's going to be a nice balance in your life too. And try to avoid being too close to a very big energy thing like say a hospital. And today when you see COVID and things like that, you obviously want to avoid being near these places because things do transmit. So similarly, not too much too heavy energy like say a flyover or those electric big transmitters or an electric station. So try and stay away from them because that energy is not good for you. It's overpowering on the human being. Human being can't deal with that kind of an energy. Also in apartments, don't necessarily go to the highest topmost floors. Stay in the lower floors. Be grounded, be close to earth. Though we all can't be. We're living like birds nowadays, but try and balance whereabouts. So that is there. Then as I had said, no place is 100% good or bad. Right. Then the question comes of clutter, which is everybody's favorite. Now, it is important to remove clutter from your life, and that brings in new flows. So give away the old to bring in the new. Now that goes not just in this, there's so many other theories to go with it, but anything that's not working, that's broken down, that is not looking nice or good, that you've done away with. I mean, sometimes you have an 18-year-old in the house and there's still a baby pram lying in the corner. I'm like, many times when I go for a consultation, maybe that it can come around again. So yeah, get rid of those things, allow new energies to come into your life and give away, let other people enjoy what you have once enjoyed. So that's the other side. Though on the other hand, there are homes which are cluttered, but they're lucky. And there are homes that are totally look like Zen homes, but they're not necessarily lucky. But yes, overall, when you remove clutter, the flow of energy gets better. So yeah, feng shui also goes with that theory. And yeah, something that's an eyesore, dangerous looking things, dead plants, right? So some people have, either they have dried plants. Now, as per feng shui, we don't really like to keep dried out things because you want the life energy, life force. So having a nice, bushy, happy, prosperous plant is nice to have in your garden, inside your home. The area we avoid keeping plants perhaps is in the bedroom, because you don't want very active energies. You want to a restful energy in that area. Right. Then there's the colors. So colors which give certain energies. So is with a positive fiery energy. So that's me today, I hope. And then there's black, which is like water. So the colors represent certain elements, and that's how we do the feng shui balance. So even in a home, don't have too much of a predominant color all across. You could, like some people put too much of red in their house, and that's going to keep you too active. You won't relax. If you keep your house too black, then you'll be too subdued and you won't be able to, be activated or get the opportunities that are coming your way. We have enough time, Suchitra? Another
we're at 1:40, just about 5 to
5
7
minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So basically the balance of the yin and the yang, the day and the night, the male, the female, the passive, active, bright, dark. So should your home be that way. Now I'll quickly come to the feng shui in your home, which is, say, your living room. That should be positive. There should be good light. The entrance should be bright and happy. Like I think to your lovely garden over there, you feel like going in there. There are some places that look forbidding. You don't want to go in. So keep your entrance happy, bright, well lit, painted, airy if possible. And you shouldn't have like in India we tend to have a lot of chappals at the entrance. So keep a little cupboard or something to keep it there, or just inside your entrance. And your bell should work, the light shouldn't be flickering or not working, and so on. The main door is important. It should be impressive, it should look good. And keep the main door area free. You shouldn't have a creaking main door. So these are all basic things which I think you and I know, but sometimes we forget. And then when you call in a practitioner, they tell you that, and you're like, but even I know that. But then somebody doesn't do it. So that's the best. That's the main thing. Then in the living space, it's nice to have plants. You could have a mirror near your dining space, so that multiplies your food. So as you've seen, I've not yet talked about putting these things, but if some people like it, they're more than welcome to have them. And then the bedroom space, well, actually in the home, the three main things are your main door, your stove direction, and your the bed. So your sleeping direction, which we call, based on your date of birth. So these are the three things that mainly a feng shui practitioner will look at, when they choose a home for themselves or are trying to help you balance your life. So the bedroom mirrors should not be reflecting you. Hopefully the mirror is placed in such a way that it's not reflecting you as you sleep, because that takes away your energy as you sleep. And sometimes you might get up in the night and get a start. So, yeah. And in the kitchen, it's the stove direction, which is important. Don't keep your stoves under the window, because one, you'll be wasting a lot of gas with the air that's coming through. And secondly, that's not a good balanced energy. In the office, hopefully you should be sitting facing the door, because that's important, so that you can see if anyone's coming in. And that's basically in the old days to protect themselves, and even now. Behind you, you should have a wall. So don't sit with a window behind yourself. Because a lot of offices nowadays have so much of glass that people forget that a wall is nice to have. So the wall energy gives you protection, and you could have a nice picture behind you. You could have photographs of your family and of your supporters and well-wishers. You could have a globe on the desk. You could have a bamboo plant, which signifies growth. So different areas, different directions mean different things. So if you want to keep water, there are certain directions where you can keep water, and certain directions you shouldn't keep water. So be clear about where you could or couldn't, because that water is a little dangerous. It could bring a lot of good positive things, or it could do some harm. So we need to see that. And otherwise, there are plants, as I've been saying, but there are certain directions again that we use all these things. So it's basically just the balance. And hopefully now onwards, we will all be leading a more balanced life with a good mix of all these things in our home.
That's right. Anita, one question only I wanted to ask.
Sure.
I'm very curious that because we follow Vastu here. So are the two compatible?
Well, they're both there to solve the same issues. So if somebody's life is going perfectly fine, there's no need for anything really. But if there's something stuck, you're stuck in career, or in, somebody wants to get married, or their marriage is not going well, or whatever it may be, health issues. If there are a lot of them, I mean, everybody gets sick, everybody has issues sometimes. But if you feel that somebody feels that they're really stuck in some area, then they call in a Vastu practitioner or a Feng Shui practitioner. So it's basically like using, a doctor of this type or that type or the other. So it's the same solution that we're all looking for.
I see. The diagnosis doesn't change. It's more or less.
Well, we could treat it slightly differently. Yeah.
Symmetry, all that. The balance is what we're looking at.
The balance is what we're looking at. So that the person has a balanced life.
That's true. Thank you so much, Anita. That was a very, very informative talk given at a time when we all need it. What we have learned today, I think, will equip us in many ways to change this ear of the rat maybe into the ear of the tiger.
Or the dragon.
The dragon. Thank you so much, Anita. Really wonderful to have you here. And
thank you, Suchitra.
Really enjoyed it and learned a lot as usual. Yes. God bless. God bless.
Bye.
Thank you, audience, for watching.